Hey friends, Kevin here, and we're going to do a quick rundown. If you're a subscriber of this channel or watched some videos in the last few weeks, you'll know when I was getting ready to take off on this trip, I ended up delayed because I had to put this thing in the garage, which was basically due to, I thought at the time, a water pump. But we're going to go over exactly what happened, exactly what I had to have done, and hopefully you'll pick up some knowledge that will help you in the future. So let's get to it. Now, short version, when I came back from the last trip from Kentucky, I realized I was losing some coolant. And I couldn't figure out why, because I had nothing hitting the ground, and I knew it wasn't a head gasket where it was leaking in with the oil, nothing like that. And I wasn't real worried about it, but it was starting to become annoying. And I'm thinking, I'm getting ready to go on this long trip. I'm starting to lean towards water pump. And I get under the van several times, and I'm trying to see where this is coming from, and I can't see any water anywhere. And I'm letting it run, and I'm turning it off, I'm letting it cool down, I'm checking the levels again, and I catch it again. After several times, I start losing water. For some reason, when I'm idling, I'm not, but when I was driving it, I was, which that didn't make a lot of sense either, but so be it. So I finally got to where I could see some water, and I saw a couple spots, a couple of droplets on the water pump. And even being under this thing, it was just really hard to see. Now, if you have a front wheel drive vehicle, you have the engine shoved in there sideways and so much stuff on these newer vehicles, it's hard to see and get to anything. On these big V8 engines, it generally is easy to see. You know, I grew up in the era of 350 V8 Camaros and all of that stuff that you could work on and do these repairs just easy, and you could get to everything. I'm not a Dodge person before this, so I just assumed that, you know, a big Dodge V8 318, everything would be easy to get to on here also. And that if I had to change a water pump, it would be, you know, a 30-minute or hour-long repair. If I'd known what a nightmare it was to get to this, I would have gone ahead and changed it when I bought the van. Because my assumption that this was going to be easy to get to was really, really, really wrong. Now, I couldn't see what was happening because apparently whatever was leaking, all the wind and everything coming off the drive belt, fan belt, was just blowing everything aside, so I never could figure out exactly where this leak was coming from. So I'm thinking, fine, a couple of drops I can see on it. It's got to be the water pump. I had a receipt from a previous owner. I knew the water pump had been replaced 8 or 9 years before that. I'm figuring, hey, it's probably due, no big deal. Take it into the shop. So I go into the shop, and they're hitting me with, hey, this can be anywhere from 2 to 4.5 hours, depending on blah, 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 the way yours is made. Well, that seems a little high, but okay. A little bit further into it, I drop it off, have the water pump that I want, good quality one that I picked up beforehand, everything they need to do the job with. I get a call back an hour later. It's like, hey, we're going to have to disconnect your AC lines in order to do this. By doing that, of course, all your Freon and everything leaks out. That's another issue. So it's like, fine, go ahead and do it. Do what you have to do. Because I'd already looked up, and the way this was made, this big fan shroud is one piece, and you actually have to work and get the fan loose with the shroud on and lift both pieces out at one time. Chrysler, I hate you. There is no reason with this big fan shroud you could not have made this in 2 pieces for an additional 3 cents and an extra little clamp to where this thing could have come apart and come out in sections and saved everybody all this trouble. But car manufacturers do things that are not in anyone's best interest when it comes to repairing the vehicles. So that was the first part of the annoyance that we had to deal with. So they get down to it, they pressure test everything, they finally figure it out. I have two leaks. One is this little itty bitty heater hose coming over, and I couldn't see it because it's hidden behind the alternator and AC compressor and everything else that had to come up. And the other leak was coming from a heater hose. And that was what was dripping, that was hitting the water pump, that I could see a few droplets. But let me get to this. This is a 1.5 years old. It came from Advance. Matter of fact, it still has the label on it. And it decided to split. I don't know that this will show up, but it decided to split right there and slowly leak. This is what set this whole thing off. Now, as part of my preventative maintenance, when I bought this van, as I do with any used vehicle, and you'll see that in some other videos that I've done, I replace all this crap so I don't have these kinds of problems. I don't want to chase one thing at a time, this little thing and that little thing. So I replace hoses, I replace thermostats, PCV valves, all these different little things, so I don't have these kinds of issues when I'm 1,000 miles from home. But here's the kicker. They were getting ready to put another one of these on, and I look over on the floor when I stop by to check on the vehicle, and it's like, this is when I wanted to just smack the hell out of the mechanics. Why would I want you to put the same hose on from the same place that just failed? Because in addition to that crack, it also has bulged out in 2 places. So this delayed things further because the other stores didn't have one in stock. So I wanted good hoses. That cost another day with having this thing in the shop. So knowing I wasn't going to put that on, my other choice where I was in O'Reilly's. So I go into O'Reilly's. They run in the back, grab me a hose. It's their store brand. It's about half the thickness of this one. I don't want that. What's the other choice? Well, they have good name brand stuff, Gates brand stuff, and it's like $2 more. This was a mistake I made when I did all this work originally, was buying this crap hose and going in and say, hey, I need a hose for a $93 B350. Okay, here it is. You know, without them telling me that they could actually sell me a better one for $2 more. So when you're in these auto parts stores, you almost need to turn the computer around where you can see it and see what your choices are, and not take the one that's in stock and have them order you and ship in there the better quality stuff. Because I lost basically a week that I'm going to add on to the end, but I lost being able to go to some of the places I wanted to go to and rearranging this trip, all because of this problem that was basically caused by this hose. That's life on the road. That's life when you're traveling. But it really annoyed me because it was something I had already done. I don't care to fix anything. I just don't want to ever go back and have to deal with it again. My philosophy. Take it for what it's worth. So, being this far into the repair, I went ahead and had them change the water pump anyway. Because, hey, I'm already into this for hundreds of dollars of labor, a few parts. What's changing an $80 water pump? Because I don't want to, again, be 1,000 miles from here 6 months from now, have the water pump decide to go out, and then have to go through this nightmare again, because this isn't the type of thing I can do myself on the road. So I went ahead and had the water pump changed, went ahead and had the thermostat changed again. Everything that was in that general vehicles, had all the heater hoses changed. Went and got the best quality stuff I could buy. And at the same time, there were a couple little spots on the inside of the radiator. I'm thinking, hey, the radiator's 27 years old, whatever it is. It was pretty cheap. I just went ahead and changed it too. So this ended up being a nice, big, tidy repair bill But I should never have another problem. Me or anybody that owns this in the next, probably the rest of its life, should never have a problem with anything to do with the cooling system, because it has now all been replaced. But the second little hose that was leaking back there, I never would have noticed and really wouldn't have been that big of a problem. This crap quality from the local store is what set this whole thing into motion. So that is my tip for the day, the week, the month, and the year. Do not just walk into the auto parts store and say, hey, give me a whatever for this vehicle. Take the time to find out what your choices are and get a name brand better choice. Because all these auto parts stores, they're more interested in selling their house brand of crap or low quality crap, and that's what it is, crap. And they'll happily smile at you 4 times every 2 weeks when you take a water pump or a starter or whatever it is back, where you've had to do that same job over and over and over and over again because they keep giving you parts that fail. So spend the few dollars more, learn from my mistake, get some better quality parts, eliminate your headaches. So that's it for the thoughts on this video. Hopefully you learn something you can use in the future. We'll see you soon.